Good afternoon. The chair of the inquiry into the Southport attack says that it could and should have been prevented. The inquiry found that Axel Rudakubana would not have carried out the attack had his parents reported what they knew about their son to the authorities. B.B. King, Elsie Stancombe and Alice da Silva Aguiar were all killed by Axel Rudakubana at a Taylor Swift-themed dance class in Southport in July 2024. Rudakubana also wounded 8 other children and 2 adults in the attack. 17-year-old Axel Rudakubana, who can be seen here arriving at that dance class in a taxi, was sentenced in January 2025 to a minimum of 52 years. He was sentenced to 3 counts of murder, 10 of attempted murder, 1 of producing the biological toxin ricin, and 1 of possession of an Al-Qaeda training manual, an offence under the Terrorism Act. This is what the chair of the inquiry, Sir Adrian Fulford, had to say in the last hour.
There was an attack in Southport of unparalleled cruelty. Nothing matching the extreme and very particular depravity of this event has previously occurred in the United Kingdom, certainly in modern times. A teenager, to whom I shall refer as AR, then aged 17, perpetrated a chilling and carefully planned assault. From his early teens, he had become ever more fixated on extreme violence. I have no doubt at all that this disturbing preoccupation had been fed during the many years when, wholly unsupervised and lacking any parental controls, he spent the majority of his waking hours online. I have no doubt that if appropriate procedures had been in place, and if sensible steps had been taken by the agencies and AR's parents, this dreadful event would not have happened. It could have been, and it should have been, prevented. It should be remembered that for over 2 years before the attack on the 29th of July, AR had only ever left home by himself when he was intending to kill or seriously harm others. I cannot stress too strongly, therefore, that what happened on that terrible day was not, to use the familiar phrase, a bolt of lightning out of a clear blue sky. Instead, some form of grave violence by AR had been clearly, repeatedly, and unambiguously signposted over many years. Indeed, several professionals who had direct contact with him expressed serious fears, sometimes in stark terms, that he would go on to harm or kill. Those fears were communicated, and yet they did not result in the coordinated and effective action that was needed. Notwithstanding their failures, AR placed his mother and father in an extremely difficult position, creating a domestic environment that was highly challenging. Their life at home must have become little short of a nightmare, given, to use the words of his own father, AR had turned into a monster.
Well, our chief North of England correspondent, Greg Milam, is at Liverpool Town Hall. And Greg, this finding by the inquiry that the attack could and should have been prevented will be particularly painful for the families of the victims.
Yeah, I think so. The fact, as the chairman said there, that it was foreseeable and avoidable, and listing so many of those missed opportunities that were there. He identified in his full inquiry, 700 pages of it, 5 fundamental problems, the principal failures, he called them, that enabled this attack to happen. The first one of those, the failure of any of the organisations who were dealing with Axel Rudakubana over a 5-year period to take ownership of the risk that he posed. He said that no one wanted to accept managing that risk. They handed over responsibility. They downgraded their own responsibility. It was an inappropriate merry-go-round, is how he described it. And he said if we as a society are to avoid a repetition of what happened, that culture has to end. It is the single most important conclusion of his report. He says those failures lie at the heart of what went wrong and allowed Rudakubana to carry out that attack. The second factor he identifies poor information management and sharing that could have identified him much earlier as a real risk, maybe seen him being arrested much earlier. Behaviour frequently excused on the basis of his autism spectrum disorder, things dismissed as mental health episodes when they could have been looked at more closely, a failure to oversee his internet use. And then the final one of those 5 points, the role of his parents, who the chair said bear considerable blame for what happened. They excused and defended his behaviour, even when he attacked another student. They failed to report the escalation of risk in the days leading up to the attack. It was irresponsible and harmful, their attitude on sharing information. If they'd shared that information, he would have been detained, the chair said. And then finishing with this, if his parents had done what they morally ought to have done, Axel Rudakubana would not have been at liberty to conduct the attack. It would not have occurred. And that is the key point. If they had done what they should have done, if the authorities had done what they should have done, this could have been prevented. I've been speaking to one of the young victims who was in that dance event on that day, who suffered physical injuries and knows she will suffer lifelong psychological scars as well, about what she wanted from this inquiry.
How are you affected, do you think, still by what happened on that day?
I just take each day as it comes. Like, there's always going to be ups and downs. It's just the same, really. I mean, a lot of people seem to think that it's just one thing that happened and you can just get over it, but it's really not as simple as that. I mean, it torments you on a daily basis. Even if it's at the back of your mind, it does. People need to realise that you live with it for the rest of your life.
You spoke at the inquiry. How important was that for you?
I found it really helpful. It sort of acts like a bit of closure. Everyone has opinions, and that everyone has their own story to share, and everyone's story should be heard.
What is your kind of emotion about those opportunities that were missed?
It's very hard hearing how everything that happened could have been avoided numerous times. There's multiple occasions where it could have been avoided or even helped him. So, you know, hearing how everything could have turned out a lot differently, it's hard. I always knew that there was going to be some questions that left unanswered, but I think on a whole that did a really good job of getting those answers, even if it was some of them that we needed.
What do you hope the outcome of this inquiry will be?
There's quite a few things that could have been stopped, and I hope they look back and, you know, fix everything for the next generation to come along, and hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Are you hopeful that this inquiry will do that, will make a difference?
Hope so. Sure hope so. Otherwise, what's it all for? If we're not getting change, then what's the point?
You want your voice to be heard in all of these areas. Why is it so important to you?
Because, no, I don't think anyone else should go through what any of the people involved have, or what they go through on a daily basis. No one else should feel like that, because I can still recall like it's yesterday. It's almost been 2 years, and it's still like the same nightmares, the same feelings of anxiety. It's all still there.